Hello, everyone. Welcome to Conversations with Sekani, a podcast for people in their 20s who are trying to figure out life and not get lost along the way. Today's guest is Dr. Gretta Chamberlain, Doctor of Naturopathic Medicine, energy healer, author, educator, and channel for what she calls the realm of beings. Her work explores consciousness, the nature of reality, unconditional love, and how individual consciously participates in the creation of their life experience through healing sessions, global workshops, and a Grammy-considered album in silence. She blends grounded wellness practices with mystical insights aimed at inner transformation. Dr. Greta, welcome to Conversations with Sekani.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here. Especially,
Right.
this is almost like being at home now. Okay. Thank you.
All right, so we'll move to our, first conversation. Before we get into metaphysical aspects, who is Greta as a person, basically?
Hmm. Oh, I've never been asked that question. Who am I? I am a spiritual being
Mm,
that believes in unconditional love for each person. Within the span of work that I do with the realm of beings, we believe in unconditional love because that's a mandate. That's a mandate
mm,
for the universe, is that the gods that created this universe, of which there are three of them, most people think that there's only one, but there are three, and
mm.
their mandate is that they want unconditional love to be within this universe. And so that's one of the things that I have been promoting. Yeah, unconditional
Hey,
love
wow. Wow.
of of self. Unconditional love. So you have to have unconditional love of self first, and then you can have unconditional love of others.
Okay,
Yeah.
wow. So I have to
Hmm.
love myself first before I could love other people. Yeah. You know,
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, I tell
yeah,
the story. Yeah, I
yeah.
tell the story about my daughter. She's 38 now, but when she was in third grade, third or fourth grade, she was about 8 years old. And I was
Mm,
driving her to school, and she asked me, she said, Mom, she said, who do you love the best? And I told her, myself. She was so
mm,
disappointed. She said, You don't love me first? And I said, Absolutely not. I said, If I don't understand love of myself and practice love of myself, then how can I love you?
mm.
She understood that. She was a very, very spiritual little girl. Maybe that'll come out further in the discussion with us together. But yeah.
Okay. Wow. All right. So that's, amazing. And you hold a doctorate in naturopathic medicine, right? So how
Mm.
does that scientific training integrate with your spiritual experiences?
Well, I divide my life up into three parts.
Hmm.
The first part is where I discuss and promote the creation of reality. The second part is transformational healing. And the third part is that I work in the cosmos. In other words, I do quite a bit of my work is off-world, as you would call it.
Hmm.
But inside that second part, transformational healing, that's how the naturopathic medicine assisted me. I was working on a doctorate in clinical psychology. I studied that for about 5 years, and I created not to study it anymore. And then, so I asked the realm, I said, so what am I going to do now? So I usually go to sleep when I want an answer and I'm not picking it up right away, I'll lay down and then I'll wake up and there's the answer. So I went
Mm,
to rest. I said, give me the answer about where you want me to go now. And when I
mm,
woke up, it said naturopathic medicine. My first reaction was, you have got to be kidding. How far can you get from clinical psychology? Okay.
mm,
But
mm,
I follow when they give me some instructions, I follow what they ask because they're not there to hurt me. They're there to support me and to assist me in moving through this myriad of experiences that we call life. So I went to the college. I met the president of the college. Um, I talked to him. He talked to me. I filled out the application, and I thought I was leaving, and I'm going back home. And he said, "Where are you going?" I said, "Where am I going? I'm going back home." He said, "No, you're not." He said, "You're going to class. Class started today." So I wound up in microbiology class. And so that's how I got into naturopathic medicine. Now your audience is probably wondering, what is that? Um, it was formed by a gentleman called Oakley Smith, and he was a chiropractor. So he took some of the chiropractic techniques and turned them into what we call now naturopathic medicine. The difference is that our movements are not uh, as strong and aggressive as a chiropractor's movements. You see, so that's one difference. But we can manipulate the spine. We work with your hips. We work with pain, same way that a chiropractor does. But I'm non-practicing at this moment. I don't practice it, but I still have the degree in it without, but I just don't go out and practice on patients that way. I do work on people by way of my mind and
mm,
remotely. That's what I do now. And we support because the realm and I recognize we cannot heal anyone. You heal yourself. That's why some people ask me, they said, "Are you a healer?" And I said, "Absolutely not. I don't
mm,
claim to heal anybody. The only person that I can heal personally is myself. And I have done that on various occasions, which we can talk about if you want to. But mainly the person we give support to the people to heal themselves. That's what. So we work with people who have various types of cancers. Right now, I'm training 3 people to do what I do.
mm,
One of them is more advanced than the other two, but we work on Parkinson's disease. We work with various cancers. We work with, oh, I can't, depression, addictions, you
mm,
name it, we work on it. Yeah.
mm. All right. You mentioned earlier that you've healed yourself before. So I'd actually love for you to, tell us more about that actually.
About the what? What do you want me to tell you
About
about?
you healing yourself, right?
Oh,
So
about me
how
healing myself. Ah.
yeah.
Well, one experience I had was congestive heart failure.
Hmm,
And it took me, what happened was I was, well, let me say this for those people who don't know what that's like. When you have congestive heart failure, one of the experiences that you're going to have is that it's difficult to move. It's
hmm,
because it's difficult to breathe because your heart is becoming larger and it supports you getting breath, carrying the blood to your lungs and so forth. So if that's not working correctly, you can go into that. The heart can start to overwork itself. For
hmm,
me, just to go walk across the street, I felt like I wanted to die because it was hard to breathe. So I learned to take my time and move. and I gave myself a lot of energy. I talked to my heart. There's a thing called body talk. I did not create that. Someone else did. I've forgotten the person's name. But in that, it tells you talk to your body, which I already knew anyway. I guess I'm promoting that for those people who are interested in studying that. It's called body talk. But I talked to my heart and I thanked it. I thanked it because, see, in the teachings that I have, we teach that everything is living. Everything is living. When we're in school here in the United States, and I'm sure it probably takes place the same thing in Nigeria and other places, they want to teach you that this is alive, this is non-living, you know, like a rock. Hey, is a rock living or non-living? And then as a child, you're going to say it's non-living, and the teacher's going to say you're absolutely correct. But what the teacher doesn't realize, that's absolutely incorrect because everything is living, because everything is energy. Everything is energy. And energy is that which we call one of the aspects of that is that it is the force. Now, what is the force? The force is the being, the energy being that created all of existence. Like right here, we're in this universe. I always say this could be universe number 792. But there are other universes out there. There's another universe, 875. There's another universe, 9,632. You see, because the creation of the force goes into infinity. It does not stop creating expressions of itself, you see. So that energy that we use is the force. Every cell in your body is a species. Like our species is that we're humanoid. That's our species. Okay. So a blood cell, that's a species. It's different from a muscle cell. That's a species. So that's why you can communicate with them because everything is living. My daughter, going back to this, she was younger then. I think she might have been 3 or 4 years old. And we used to always pray at night. I'd pray with her. We'd do Om. We would chant because I had practiced Buddhism, so we had practiced that. She knew about the Christ, so we talked about Jesus. She knew all of that. So we were in this store, which was a metaphysical store. It had a lot of books and crystals, and they gave crystal readings and psychic readings there. The whole bit was there. It was a beautiful store. It's no longer there. And I taught her, I said, Kai, I said, when you go to the store with me, remember, don't touch anything. Don't break anything because mom does not have the money to pay for it. So don't do it, right? So she was walking around while I'm looking for a book because the realm would, it just comes over me and says, you got to go get a book. There's a book we want you to read. So I have to go into the store and trace my fingers over every book until I find the one that they wanted me to read. Okay. In the meantime, I'm doing that. Kai comes up to me, pulls on my clothes and says, Mom, I have to go pray for that rock. I said, You have to go pray for that rock? I said, Where's the rock? She said, It's over there in the corner. It's down there on the floor. So when she said, I've got to pray for it, I said, Go ahead, go pray for it. So I went and I sat in a church pew that they just had there for people to sit on in the store. And I sat next to her. She took prayer hands, her little prayer hands. She knelt down in front of that rock and she prayed for it. It took her about 10 minutes. Then she got up, she walked over to me and she said, "It's all right now." I said,
Mm.
"Good, you did a good job, Kai." So then I immediately went to the checkout counter and said, "I want to buy that rock." And the woman told me, she said, "It's not for sale." I said, "It's
Mm.
not for sale." She said, "No." I said, "Well, what do you use it for?" She said, "That rock is there and collects all of the low vibrational energies that come into the store. It cleanses the store of all of that." So what it did was that rock, which some of us would think is not living, but it's quite, all rocks are living, okay?
Mm.
It communicated with my daughter psychically, and she knew she had to go there and pray for it to cleanse off all the dark energies that it had absorbed from the store. And that's what she did at that age. So we don't realize how powerful we are and that the children are just as powerful as adults as well. Yeah,
Okay.
so
Wow.
I use that story because it shows about everything is living. Yeah.
Okay. Right. So basically, my show is for young adults, right? So
Oh,
many
yippee.
young people, they feel
I like that.
anxious. Yeah, so many young people, they feel anxious, disconnected, or searching. So where should they begin, actually?
You sent that to me. I received that message from you, and I thought, oh,
Mm.
this is wonderful. And it's an opportunity to speak to young people.
Mm.
I love speaking to young people. I was a teacher, and I'm teaching everybody, okay? But I remember teaching my students. I've taught from preschool all the way up to college level students, and now I'm teaching adults. But the one thing is, I know for me as a young person, nobody ever taught me that I create my own reality.
Mm.
That's where you want to begin. That's important
Mm.
because when you can understand that you create your own reality, then you have more strength or power to change it. Because see, you don't have to stay anywhere where you don't want to stay. You don't have to be sick. That's why I'm telling you that I told you that story about my congestive heart failure. I didn't want that, so I changed it. I did all kinds of things. I took the allopathic medicine. I took Chinese medicine. I did energy work on myself. I did all of that. And then it was gone, you
Mm.
know. Um, so, the first thing I would say to your audience of you wonderful young people is to learn that you create your own reality. Now, that can be challenging because I know when my spiritual mother, she would not consider herself to be one, but I considered herself to be that, told me one day we were sitting at the table, and she says, "You know you create your own reality." I looked at that woman like she had five heads.
Mm.
And I said, "You're not going to tell me that I created all of this mess in my life myself. No, there's no way you can tell me that." But she said, she was very consistent. And she said, "Oh, yes, Greta, you created it all." So once I started to embrace that, it gave me strength and it relieved me. Let me say this before I say my next statement. As humans, one of the characteristics of being a human is that we like to look external to ourselves. So now this is a new training. You want to train yourself to look inside instead of outside. When you understand that you create your own reality, then you're going to look inside and say, why did I do that? If you're looking outside yourself, which many of us do, you're going to say, blaming somebody. You did this. You're either going to blame your parents, blame your friend, blame your husband, blame your teacher, but you're going to blame somebody because you don't want to accept it for yourself, you see. So we blame, we judge, we criticize, we do all of that because we do not understand that we create our own reality. So that is the biggest thing today that I think that we need to talk about. I don't know how many other people you've had to come on your program and talk about metaphysics. I don't know that. But I know that my feeling is to say to the young people and the older people who are listening to your program as well, learn that you create your own reality. That's the beginning of studying metaphysics. And you'll hear that they'll say, thoughts are things. And that is absolutely correct. Your thought, you put a thought in your mind, and then you add the emotion to it. The emotion is what gives it gas. It could be, I don't like John. So that's your thought. I don't like John. But then the emotion is going to be, he makes me angry. I'm angry with John. You see, so it pushes that I don't like John even more. But there's a whole process for that. But I think the for me, we'd be here all day talking about that. But that's the big thing. You create your own reality. Now it becomes what people ask me, how do I know when it's my reality and versus somebody else's reality? You're going to know that because it's personally yours. If you personally experience it, then it's your creation of reality. If somebody else is experiencing it, that belongs to them. And you don't need to take on someone else's reality because you're going to have enough just dealing with yourself, you
Wow.
know. Hmm.
Okay. Wow. This has been deeply inspiring, actually. And I feel like you spoke directly to something in me, right? And yeah, I totally understand everything you said. And in conclusion, because yeah, we have limited time, right? We are
Yeah.
because I would love to, know more about your work and everything. So where can listeners get to know more about you and what you do, basically?
If they put in Greta Chamberlain,
Mm,
in one way would be to say Greta Chamberlain Shorts on YouTube.
mm,
Greta is spelled Gretta. Some people spell it with one T, but I spell it with two.
mm,
And then they can, with the shorts, they can get the little snippets that we teach in those shorts.
mm, mm,
I think
mm,
they'd find that quite interesting because, like I said to you earlier, my daughter looks at the analytics
mm,
sometimes to see where people are coming from that watch our shorts. And we have quite a pretty good audience coming out of Nigeria listening
okay.
to our shorts. So I suggest that they do that. To contact me personally, I would say email me because we're in the process of creating a new website. So they can do that. That's Greta Chamberlain at gmail.com. Greta Chamberlain, all one word, all lowercase, at gmail.com. And I will get back to them as soon as I possibly can do that. Or if they're looking at the shorts, there's places there where you can leave comments. I have one gentleman, I still have to add him to the group of people it's called facilitation, the people that I facilitate for. But I will do the best that I can to reach out because my daughter reads all of the comments and sends them to me. So I
Mm,
will be aware of that and can get back to the person. The YouTube channel is called Dr. Greta, and that's spelled Doctor. It's not DR period, but Doctor. And then the album, if they want to listen to our Grammy-considered album, the album is called In Silence.
mm,
It's the writings of the realm of beings. And I'm speaking that. And Danielle Heiss is playing the singing bowls with that, the white
mm.
crystal bowls. Yeah, so it's a whole healing process that takes place when you listen to that album. So you can find that on Spotify. You can find it on Apple Music or any other streaming musical
That's fine.
platform. You can find it on YouTube. All you have to do is put my name, Greta Chamberlain, and put In Silence album, and then it'll come up and you can play it. Yeah, because
All right.
I'd like to. There's one gentleman, he's a minister in your country. I can't remember his name, and I can't remember exactly
A
where he comes.
minister.
Yeah, and he
Mm.
writes me. He writes me through writes his comments, and he watches.
Wow.
Yeah, writes
Okay.
me. Yeah, it's amazing. The internet
Wow.
has.
I think I'm actually going to check that out, actually. I'll check it out. All right. So,
Okay,
yeah,
thank you.
thank you. Thank you so much. This has been so insightful and inspirational also. And I didn't tell you, I actually checked out your Spotify, right? I listened to one of your music on Apple Spotify. I don't know if I should call it a music or a sound. And yes, I enjoyed it actually. I
Thank
did.
you. Thank you. I'm so glad. I'm so glad. Yeah.
Yeah,
This has
thank you
been
so much.
wonderful. So please feel free to invite me again. I'd love to. And then we can pick up where we
Oh,
left at. Yeah.
all right. I
Fun.
will do.
Thank you
I
so much.
appreciate that. Yes. But thanks for tuning in to Conversations with Sekani. If this episode sparked something in you, make sure to share to someone who needs to hear it. And if you want to connect with us, you can find us on social media.
There we go.